assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples, which those who believed in the Lord, all right, and followed His word, all right, and knew the truth, they were called Christians, all right, or followers of Christ, all right, or followers of the anointed, okay. And that was a derogatory name given by the Gentiles, or the natural Gentiles, which are the heathens. First in Antioch. Now let's look up the word Antioch. Alright. Because it keeps showing up. We read it from verse 19 down to 26 in Acts chapter 11. You kept seeing the word Antioch. Well, let's see what significance it has.
Strong's G 490. Antiochia. Antiochia.
Alright. Which derives from Antiochus, a Syrian king. Alright. Antioch. It says capital of Syria, situated on the river of Orontes, founded by Seleucus Nicanor in 300 BC, and named in honor of his father Antiochus. Many Greek Jews lived there, and it was here that the followers of Christ was first called Christians. Alright? That's right. So, why does it say many Greek Jews? Alright, well, let's go into the history. Proving that the Apocrypha is a very important part of understanding the New Testament. Alright? Because you will understand that in the Apocrypha, alright, that the people that was in Antioch, those were Israelites that had followed after the customs of the Greeks during the time of Antiochus Epiphanes. Stop following the laws. Right? First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 7. Alright. So it says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule every one in his place. Now if you from studying and from doing GMS homework, alright, you should have the understanding that this is talking about his 4 generals, alright, which was you had the Seleucus line, which Antiochus Epiphanes came through, alright. Then you had the Ptolemy line, alright, which ruled over Egypt. Then you had the Cassandra, and I think the other guy was Lasamasic. Damn, this name is hard. I'll post it up in post editing. Lycaicus, who had Asia Minor, and Cassandra had Greece. Alright, and those were the 4 generals, alright, that end up ruling the Greek Empire after the reign of the first king over Greece, which was Alexander. Alright, and it says his servants bare rule every one in his place, and after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. And these were Edomites, so-called Caucasians. Alright. It said, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. Alright, and it said, and in those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Alright, so you had Israelites that said, okay, we're going to follow We want to make league with the Greeks, all right, and follow them. All right, verse 12. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, meaning in their understanding. All right, and forsook the holy covenant. So they stopped dealing with the laws of the scriptures, the history, all right, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. All right, so they were sold to do mischief. All right, let's go to 2 Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 7. All right, because it's going to go in more depth. It says, 2 Maccabees 4 and 7. But after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus, called Epiphanes, took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Onias, labored underhand to be high priest. All right, so Jason was one of those wicked men of Israel that persuaded many to follow after the ways of the Greeks, promising unto the king by promising unto the king by intercessions 360 talents of silver, and of another revenue 80 talents. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise, and for the training up of youth, and the fashions of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians. Alright? Which would be what? Antioch. Alright? Just like when you read the book of Corinthians or Galatians or Thessalonians. Alright? What was that talk to? To those Israelites that were in those places. Alright? Because Corinthians, alright, were people that were in Corinth. Alright? Just like you had Israelites in Antioch. Alright? And during this time in the Greeks Empire, in the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, you had Jason, who had told him that he was going to call the people, alright, of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians, which when the king had granted and had gotten into his hand to rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to the Greekish fashion. Alright? Which this should start showing light, because who was when you read in the scriptures, alright, you will see that Timothy, alright, proving that Timothy had to be an Israelite. Alright? Because his father, they said he was a Greek. Alright? Meaning what? His forefathers had to be of these Jews that took on this philosophy of the Greeks being Hellenized, or being Hellenistes. Alright? Hellenists. Alright? The Greek fashions. Alright? That brought his own nation to the Greek fashions, and the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of Jason, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for a mint and aid he took away, and put down the governments which were according to the law, and brought up new customs against the law. Alright, for he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself. Now, the place of exercise talking about the gymnos, which means naked, because the Greeks used to exercise butt ass naked. So he had Jake doing that under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. Now such was the height of Greek fashions, and increase of heathenish manners, through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest, that the priest had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despised the temple and neglected the sacrifices, hastening to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise, after the game of discus called them forth, not setting by the honors of their fathers, but likening the glory of the Grecians best of all, by reason whereof sore calamity came upon them, for they had them to be their enemies and avengers, whose customs they follow so earnestly, and unto whom they desired to be like in all things. For it is not a light thing to do wickedly against the laws of God, but the time following shall declare these things. So you had many Israelites, alright, that followed the ways of the Greeks. Alright? And we're gonna come to find out what they was doing. Alright? So let me go back to First Maccabees. Hopefully this is shedding light on the Gentiles. Alright, because that still is a misunderstanding on who were the Gentiles, alright, that Paul and Barnabas, alright, and like Silas and Timothy and Titus, alright, who they were, or who did they go to? They went to these Israelites whose forefathers had took on these ways, and over generations they lost their they lost their identity, and they became like what? Like heathens, calling themselves Greek names, living after the ways of the heathen. Alright? First Maccabees 1:41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws, so all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Alright? Yeah, so when you see that word Greek, that was like a philosophy or a way of living, okay? Alright? Which we got before, which means it was people, alright, that when it's referring to Israel, it was either Israelites that knew they were Jews that spoke Greek or followed the Greek manners, alright, or that were born in foreign lands. They was called Grecians. But then you had Israelites that were called Greeks. These were Israelites that followed wholeheartedly the ways of the Greeks, alright, and thought they were Greeks, but really their line went back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Alright? It says, okay, go to 43. Alright? So that's where you have to have that discernment to know, is this talking about the natural Gentile or the Israelite foreigner, whom whom the Jews referred to as heathens. Alright? First Maccabees 1:43. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judea, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and the holy people. Alright? To set up altars and groves, which if you know anything, that word grove is synonymous with Ashtaroth. Alright? Which is the worship of the Queen of Heaven, or the worship of the moon, or the planet Venus, alright, or Diana, or Aphrodite. Alright? That's what it's talking about, the groves. It was the worship of Ashtaroth, alright, or the Queen of Heaven. And chapels of idols, alright, talking about the worship of Baal, alright, or Zeus. During the time of the Greeks, they call him Zeus. During the time of the Romans, they call him Jupiter. but it's all the same thing, the worship of the sun, or Tammuz.